I want to talk about frontline black men and the stuff that frontline black men have to deal with because of the Poogies and Ray Rays and the women who promote them and say they good guys. See, these women like to pretty much promote these guys and say these guys are good guys, and say that a diploma or being never been in jail doesn't equate to good morals. But when you see these dudes pass, you kind of look and say, what? So robbing, scamming, killing, and selling drugs is somewhat good? That's good? Or beating up on people that you don't agree with and shouting at people, calling them punks and all types of other stuff, and shaming people and belittling people, that's so-called good? I mean, who you rather count money in front of? A Pookie or Ray Ray, or a good guy? Who you think is going to rob your house after you show them what you have in it? Who you think gonna come back and rob you? Pookie and Ray Ray, or the weird guy? Who you think gonna hit you and punch you in your mouth if you say something that they don't understand? The good dude, the good black guy, or the Pookie and a Ray Ray, or these street guys are gonna do that? Who's going to belittle you for liking something that they don't like? The Pookie or Ray Ray, or the so-called educated lame? Would you rather trust the educated lame to know your location of where you have something at, or something valuable at? Or would you trust the Pookie and a Ray Ray of where your stuff is at? Would you give papers to an educated lame, or a weird black man, or an incel black man? Or would you give certain papers to a street dude, or a Pookie and a Ray Ray? I can keep going and going and going. See, the frontline black men are the ones who self-promote themselves every time they meet a new race. Every time they're trying to get an opportunity, the frontline black men are consistently always having to just say that they're not the same like them. They are on the front lines being shot at with all types of bullets, stereotype bullets to them, where they have to correct people all the time on how they really talk, or how they really operate, or how they really deal with people. They have this concept of what black men are and what black men really are. And when they meet the black men they think they're gonna meet on TV, you have to correct them, and it gets exhausting. And this is the mentality that other races have, because we have to keep correcting and making a distinction between us and them. We're not that guy over there who's robs and steals, and you can't trust him. You can't trust him with your passwords. You can't trust him with no information, or he's gonna tell your information out like a female. He's not gonna tell. Black men have to always prove themselves when they venture out, or when they don't fit in, because now they're on the front lines. They don't want to sit back and be around these people who don't like them because they don't fit a certain criteria, or they short, or they call them socially awkward. So they have to be frontline black men who consistently have to sit back and be like, no, I don't speak that way. You can trust me. Like, would you give a Pookie and a Ray Ray your password to any of your accounts? and think that they won't mess up your accounts or take your accounts or scam your accounts or do some illicit activity? Would you trust to be around a Pookie and a Ray Ray or a street dude? Would you trust yourself to be in the same car as them when they are doing illegal stuff? Like, the funny thing about these discussions that I see online, especially in the black manosphere, is that they try to cover for these guys, but these guys are like toxic individuals. I mean, you can get in the car with them and you could end up in jail for the rest of your life because they got something in the car that's illegal. You can end up getting shot because what they did in the past. Or you could end up being looked at because this guy went to jail a number amount of times and you're hanging out with that person. So no one wants to deal with you because that person robbed and took from everybody else, and people don't trust you because you're hanging out with that person. But if you hang out with a guy who is kind of socially awkward, people are going to look at you, but you won't have to put your life on the line. You won't get arrested for being around that person. You won't go to jail. You can give that person your password, because there's a lot of so-called socially awkward men who still have secrets to this day of certain people. You know, you gave people who are socially awkward or weird or whatever, you gave them passwords and they never used it. Or you gave them passwords to a Netflix account or some kind of account, and they used it and they didn't do anything further. Would you give a debit card to a street dude or a Pookie and a Ray Ray? Would you really give a card to a Pookie and a Ray Ray? Or would you give a debit card to an educated lame? These are the things that makes more people sociable, because a frontline black man has to continuously be a ongoing battle for representation. We have to keep making ourselves different from everyone else. And we have to keep telling people that we're not like that guy. We're not like them. And they use the media as a tool to, discourage a bunch of people. But it's funny to me when these people say they lack social skills, right? And they say they lack social skills, and they say they lack social skills and all this other crap. But the fact is, they turn around and say, well, you programmed. If I lack social skills, and if I don't watch the same things you watch, and if I could turn off the TV and don't care what's on the news or on the internet, or I watch the same movies you watch, or I don't watch rap videos and all these other people's and don't pay attention to rappers' lives, how is the media controlling me when I'm socially awkward? But you think that everybody should talk with slang, or everyone should talk with game, or everybody should talk with this characteristics that you see on the TV. It's funny that you're saying people mind controlled and all this other stuff, and then some of these people are not even watching the same things you're watching. They control their media. Unlike you're watching the same shit that you said control you, but they're the ones that are weird and socially awkward. But they're the ones who actually putting themselves on the line, because they're not sounding like a typical black person, and they're not making the race look overall bad. They're not fitting any stereotypes that black people do. So they're doing all this work and they getting no kind of compensation in from their own race. They're trying their best to make black people look good. The frontline black men are the guys who don't fit in and don't do that. So when they go on the other side, they make overall black people more tolerable for society. Because if it was just the Pookies and the Ray Rays and the street dudes, they would all. You think that if it was just the Pookies and the Ray Rays out here, that the cops wouldn't be doing anything worse than they are? You really think that they wouldn't put a kind of police state on black communities already? The frontline black men are actually keeping this shit at bay. They're the ones who actually making all of the black people look better than they are, and they're fighting a losing battle. But the fact is, they're trying to fight a battle and a war for the good ones, not the bad ones. But then they look on the opposite side and they got these females championing these guys who did all this crazy whack shit that they did in the streets, and treating people like crap, beating on women and selling drugs and stuff, and they're championing them. And other races are looking at them and saying, what the hell? We don't put up our worst. We put statues up for them. We put statues up for certain criminals to show that they can easily be taken down. That our trophies, the trophies and the stuff in the news and the stories and stuff, it shows them being taken down. It's an example of, if you want to take this route, you ain't gonna be alive to enjoy this statue. This is our story to tell. We can put the story up and say anything we want because we won. But they don't understand that. And they keep making these rappers and ex-street dudes, these living legends and these Jesus Christs of the next saviors, and all these guys are saving the communities. And you look at the communities and you on the ground level, and you looking at these communities and you're like, this community didn't change. Somebody just got killed right there, or somebody just got robbed down the street. And they put these bad facts out here about mass incarceration. But then they talk about somebody's in their basement or in there that they're weird and they don't go out, and it's like, huh? But you said mass incarceration, so you're not really counting the guys who you really don't care about. But you want to say all black men are in mass incarceration or being shot by the cops, when a lot of us don't ever had run-in with cops, or if we did have run-in with cops, they knew the distinction between us, and we know we have to pretty much overrepresent ourselves when we're dealing with cops, because they're so used to dealing with those type of guys. So we have to just be on the front lines on everything. And a lot of us, at some point now, this is why we have social media and online, we are fighting a battle and trying to put out our voice out there, saying that we are tired of fighting battles and not getting appreciated for it. We're tired of winning wars with racist people and being called names by our own race of people, when we're the ones that making the race look better than it is. Because now they think all of us are criminals because the women are putting all these certain guys on a thing. But a guy who has no criminal record is more trustworthy to be around than a guy who has a criminal record. Even if it's non violent. Still. You think a robber, you think somebody who robs somebody, you think that person can be trusted? Or somebody who scams somebody who can be trusted? Come on, look at the pro-black side. Zaza Ali, Brother Polite, all these other pro-black wacko jobs. You got people on here who is scamming people. And those are the people who so-called got charisma and social skills, but they're doing all this dirty stuff to different people, even to their own people. But the frontline black men who are weird or educated and hardworking men are the ones who actually make our race look bad. And then you scapegoat yourself by saying that, well, the media told us to do this. White men created the program us to do this. But if that's true, then there wouldn't be no frontline black men trying to change the stereotypes. Frontline black men are actually doing the fight that you're not doing because you was too busy to show the world that we can be something more than what they depict us in. So now you got a whole bunch of people who fit stereotypes and the archetype of black men that they feel like that they can use and throw out. And then when they finally see somebody who actually is black, but is different and is sociable into other cultures, because let's make one thing clear. You can't just stick in your own race and try to build an international thing. This is what every race got. Asian people created things so other people can buy. And this is how they got rich off of other races. White people create media and shows and stuff like that to include certain people of other races. So you're saying that you just want black only this, black only that, black only this and this and that, but you're not promoting any different types of black men. You're only promoting certain groups of black men only. So you can't have a black male media because you're not promoting all black males. You're promoting some. And the men that you do need, who can build, who've been fighting for decades and decades on the front lines, you telling them that they need to do this and do that and do this to be, accepted by the women? So now the frontline black man has to fight stereotypes and then their own race with no reinforcements. And you wonder why a lot of people change alliances and take their uniform, their black uniform off and say, I'm joining the other side. I'm wearing a Japanese uniform. I'm wearing a white uniform. I'm wearing something where I will get reinforcements when I'm fighting a battle out here of representations and everything about this. I'd rather join a side where I can be appreciated, where I will get gold medals and rewards for being good and talented and being trustworthy. Why would I be around certain people who shun me and tell me that I'm nothing compared to them? Frontline black men are fighting all the real wars for black people, and they're never appreciated. It's the sad truth, but it is. It's reality. And the guys out here who act like they're frontline, they act like they're frontline soldiers. They're not. They're just pretending to be. They're ass kissers and they're black male slaves because they don't fight on the front lines, because they allow certain women to get away with talking about certain men. A frontline soldier, a frontline black man leaves no black man behind. They make sure that they back each other up. They don't let anyone else talk about them. So you can tell the difference between a frontline black man and a black man who pretends they're frontline.